Hello, my name is Kai, and I am a bit of a rambler. I like to travel, learn, and tell stories. And Hawaii is hot. I'm looking forward to getting out of here, but I'm going to Indonesia, which, as far as I understand, is pretty much just as hot. I think I lucked out, because when I got to Hawaii, I've only been here a few weeks, but the first, 2 weeks were pretty cloudy, and there were winds blowing, and it was comfortable. And I was like, oh, that's pretty nice. And then the last few days, the sun has been crazy. Like, out in the water, the sun's been crazy, just walking around. It's just brutal. But my next place in Indonesia has AC and all the good stuff, so I'll be comfortable in a few days. But what's been going on? I saw a monk seal. I guess I should probably start with that. I've mostly just been hanging out at the beach or watching movies because the sun is brutal. I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but I went to the beach and the sun was so bright that the bottom of the ocean, I think I did, under the water, 10 feet, even 15 feet down, it felt like someone was firing a laser from the sun directly down to the sand. So it was just too heavy. It's just been too heavy, the sunlight, these past few days. And the ocean has been really cool, and it's different on different days. And the top of the water, the waves themselves, it's really difficult to know what the currents under the water are going to feel like just by seeing the top. Because the last time the waves looked pretty calm on the surface, the water was pretty rough under when I was swimming around, and I had to really swim pretty hard to stay in place and to get around and stuff. And then the last time I went with the brutal, crazy sun, it was pretty choppy on the surface of the water, but underwater, it didn't feel like there was any movement. I could go out very far. I could just swim all around. So I guess further iteration of me not understanding how the ocean works. But I do appreciate it, and it was cool to see the unicorn fish again. I saw a whole bunch of the Moorish idols, the yellow tangs. What are other fish name I can remember? That's it. The white one with the black spot on it, the trumpet fish, has the big seahorse head. Bunch of those. Well, I saw one more. They're very difficult to see. They just look like ghost eels. But it's just cool being in that alien environment. So that's what I've been doing. Because everything's so expensive in Hawaii. And it's all just boring city stuff. There's not a lot of hidden gems or neighborhoods I can really walk around in, to find stuff. It's organized like any other American city. So you have population centers, and then you have shopping centers, but you don't have little local shops that you can just walk around and explore. They're pretty rare, which I always find boring when I come back to the US, that you have to live in the residential area, and then you can go to where a cluster of shops are, and then you can leave that, and it's not very walkable, of course. You have to drive everywhere. But the bus system here is pretty good. The buses themselves are good. It's expensive. It's a few dollars per ride. But you have a rechargeable card, you fill it up, you boop it, and you're on the bus, and you can get around the island pretty easily. So transportation could be worse here. But during the day, I can't, walking around. I don't know, I need to be at 11,000 feet elevation if I'm under some sun like this. I gotta be back at Cusco and be subtracting those degrees because it's brutal, hot, humid here. And I just decided to go to Indonesia, where I'm pretty sure it's going to be brutal, hot, humid, but I will have a much nicer house and AC, and everything's going to be new, and I'll be studying Indonesian. The only thing I know is tersedia, which I think means it's ready, but I don't know. I have a little app, and I haven't studied it all, and I'm leaving in a few days, so maybe I should have, but I'm only going to be in Indonesia for a month. I'll learn a few words when I get there for sure. I'll definitely learn hello, please, thank you, before I get there. but I haven't yet. You know what? I'll do that after this. I'll take my first like real lesson on the app. I decided to try a new one. I haven't gone back to Duolingo yet because my last few encounters with Duolingo since they updated with AI have been so disappointing. It's just so much more difficult to learn using Duolingo than it used to be before they started integrating AI. So so when I'm learning a language, when I go to a new country, now I'm just looking for apps that are specific for that one language. And I found something called Fun Easy Indonesian. And I'll try that today. I will try that today. Oh, but the beach. Okay, so the beach, the monk seal. So I swam out, and I went pretty far, not crazy this last time. And 50 feet, maybe? Yeah, let's say 70 feet, maybe. I don't even think it was 70 feet. I think 50 feet is like a pretty... Yeah, I was only about 50 feet. I was pretty close to shore. But I was starting to go out. I was going to go out farther and see if I could see any new fish or sea life at all. Still can't find an octopus. Don't know how I'm going to do that. I just don't think my eyes they recognize that shape. And everything down there is kind of tinged with blue, and there's floaty things, and everything's asymmetrical anyway. So it's pretty hard to see an 8-legged octopus down there. I think is why I haven't seen any so far. And someone suggested that I look at pictures of octopi on the sea floor, and then maybe my eyes can get used to it. And that is a very good idea. So I'm going to try that out. That was just suggested to me yesterday, and I thought that was a great idea. So learn Indonesian, learn how to see an octopus. But anyway, I was going out looking for octopi or anything new, and then I looked to my left, and I thought I saw something, but I wasn't sure. And when I kept looking, I didn't see anything. So I just kept swimming, and then I poked up my head, and I was like, oh, what's that? Is that a turtle? Because there's a rounded back above the surface. And nope, that was a big ol' monk seal. Bigger than me, for sure. Probably 7 feet, maybe 8 feet. I don't know how big they are. It's difficult to kind of tell in the water. I did see one on shore, though, and yeah, between 7 and 8 feet seems pretty close. It was pretty wild to see in the ocean, though, because I am slow in the ocean. I always remember Deep Blue Sea, the movie with the sharks and Samuel Jackson, Thomas Jane, where they're talking about how fast sharks swim and how fast humans swim. It's like 8 feet per second versus 8 meters per second. So they're just going way fast, or it's like 2 feet per second. Humans are very slow at swimming compared to aquatic animals, obviously. And so as soon as I saw this seal, who was maybe like 40 feet away from me, not super close, but certainly not very far, and he can cover that distance in a couple seconds if he chooses. And they have big teeth. Seals got big, sharp dog mouth teeth. Their mouth just looks like a big dog. And so I didn't even say hello or try and snap a picture. I just sort of went back, and I just slowly, as quickly as I could, because you do feel graceful in the ocean. But I squid swam my way back to shore, and I watched the seal establish his territory. He went back and forth parallel to the shoreline, but like maybe 60 feet out or something. And he was probably hunting. He just went back and forth and scooped up a bunch of fish into his big old belly. And this one didn't come up on beach, but I did see one on the beach the other time. And you can't get within 150 feet of monk seals, so I didn't go very close. But it was just, it's just crazy to see these very large animals in real life. It's bizarre, because they're alive. They're huge alive organisms, and it's so rare, especially for me growing up in the United States, to see anything other than a dog and a cat and maybe a bird. But the ocean life out here on Oahu is just all around. And I didn't really go snorkeling pretty much the whole time I was in Southeast Asia, which was dumb of me because it's fascinating. So if I get back to Southeast Asia, I guess I'm going to Indonesia. I just don't know how long I'll be in the rest of Southeast Asia, but I think I have to get to some beaches and see how the snorkeling is in other countries. Because seeing like the very large green sea turtles and then the way larger monk seals, it just really smacks into my core, hey, you are living in a beautiful, magical world full of magical creatures. It is crazy that monk seals just coexist and that these turtles are perfectly fine gliding along in the world. Like we haven't ruined everything yet. There are still some magical animals around. There's the Komodo dragons in Indonesia where I'm going. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. In Thailand, when I used to go there, I didn't even notice them the first time I went, I don't think, but the second time I definitely saw monitor lizards, maybe 3 feet long or something, just walking around. They have them in Lumpini Park, so they'll just be in the park, walking around or sunning themselves, and you walk past them. They're like any other normal part of wildlife. People don't even pay attention. And they're not just in the park or in zoos, they are also in canals or like sewage drains. They just hang out where it's kind of cool. But if you get too close, they're fast. They will zoom. They'll run away as fast as a lizard. And Komodo dragons can run faster than humans, apparently, which you wouldn't think so when you think of a Komodo dragon, maybe, because they seem like they're lounging in the sun or they're kind of slow moving. But after Thailand, where I saw these like 3 foot, 4 foot long monitor lizards just bolt so fast, I completely believe, because they look the exact same as the Komodo dragons, just half the size. I have no doubt that Komodo dragons can also book it faster than I can with their 4 legs and venomous teeth. I know scientists went back and forth about this. They used to think Komodo dragons had venomous teeth. And then they were like, oh no, they're not venomous. They just have saliva, and regular mouths are dirty enough that you get infected. But now it looks like it's back on the other side, that they actually do have venom in their bite. So I will be seeing Komodo dragons in a zoo. I'm not going to go to the island. Also, they're in the wild anyway across Indonesia, and I'm kind of inland, so... Well, no, I guess they're aquatic, aren't they? They're sort of amphibious, so maybe they'll be only closer to the beaches. Anyway, I'll be happy not seeing a Komodo dragon without a cage between me and them. They seem very dangerous and not worried about human interaction at all, and they're way faster than humans, and they have poison bites. And they're just an alive animal in this world. That's what's so wild. I love traveling, because I get somewhere and then I'm really happy that something is in the world. I'm just like, wow, Komodo dragons are real and here. And then here, on Oahu, oh, look, there's a monk seal. I'm just so happy that's in the world, that's part of this world. It's amazing to live in a world this diverse and frankly unbelievable half the time. When I am next to a 8-foot monk seal just chilling on the beach, I'm just staring at this giant thing that probably weighs 3 times as much as I do, who hauled itself out of the ocean, and it lives in the ocean. It's just so crazy. It's like this astronaut walked right out of the ocean, Doctor Who style, and waved at me. And that's what it feels like when I see a monk seal on the beach, or especially when they like inchworm their way out of the ocean up onto the shore to sunbathe. It's a whole new world. It's a whole new world. So the monk seal in the water that I saw most recently, though, I popped my head up, saw a monk seal, thought, oops, and went back until I got back on shore safely. And then I just watched him, and he was there the whole time. I stayed there for another, I don't know, hour, 90 minutes or something. And I kept thinking of going back in. And I did go in. I just didn't go more than like 10 feet in. And no coral, anything. I was just in the shallow part of the very beginning of the shoreline because they swim so fast. They are territorial, all wild animals. Monk seals are also territorial, and I don't know what he'll see as aggression. So I did think like, oh, you know what? I'll just try and see underwater, and if it's clear enough, I'll take a picture of him from 100 feet or something and then get back, because it would be cool to get a picture of them underwater. And then I dunked my head underwater, and the water was so turbid and particulate that I couldn't see more than 50 feet in front of me. And I started going forward to where the seal was, and then I was just like, that is so dumb. Don't do that. They have very clear guidelines of how close is safe for a human from a monk seal. It's 150 feet. And here I am, I can only see 50 feet. My camera can probably only see 20 feet under the water or whatever. And I'm sneaking forward as if I'm going to get a candid shot of the animal that lives there without it noticing me and without pissing it off. So after going forward like 20 feet in, I was like, no, this is so dumb. And I just went back and hung out in the shallows. And that's great too, because the ocean is very comfortable to just be in, to just stand in on the sand, the cool water around. The Hawaii sun is so hot that even the water's not too chilly, even the ocean water's not too cold, because the sun is getting heated, or the sand underneath the water, and the shallow areas especially, is heating up, and that's giving heat back to the water. So it's a great time, even if I can't go out snorkeling. And I can't go out snorkeling because I'm seeing what sailors probably thought were a mythological monster back in the day. Like, I'm seeing this crazy creature with big, puffy cheeks and whiskers and big black eyes that's larger and heavier than I am, gracefully just swim around, bob around in the ocean, snatching up fish at his leisure. And he's just there with me. We're both hanging out on the beach that day, which, yeah, is never gonna not tickle my fancy, is never gonna not be interesting, that I get to share this world with the monk seals and the monitor lizards and the Komodo dragons and the polar bears. Haven't seen a polar bear yet outside of a zoo. That is another animal I'm not looking to see outside of a zoo. I don't need to do that. Those guys just eat everything, and I am part of everything. But this was the first time I was swimming in the ocean when I noticed a monk seal, finally. I've seen them lying out sunbathing on the beach, but I never saw them really in motion, and especially when I was there in the ocean with them. And I was like, thanks, and I just paddled my way back to shore real safely like. I made some good pizza, kept it simple, minced up some vegetables, put them on top of a cheese pizza that they were selling at the supermarket, and then I didn't bake the mushrooms first, which I should have, because they have so much water that it kind of made the pizza soggier than I like it, because I like a crispy, thin crust and baked toppings. So next time I do that, which I don't know when that'll be, I will cook the mushrooms first to get most of it out, and then put them on and then bake the pizza, because mushrooms just have too much moisture in them. I have been seeing a lot more sea slugs. Corollary to my search for octopi, I have been seeing a lot of sea slugs recently, and I didn't really notice them before. Like, the first few times I've gone swimming around with my goggles on, I didn't notice any sea cucumbers, and then I noticed my first one, and now I see them fairly frequently. Like, now every time I go out, I'll see another sea cucumber, so my eyes have kind of gotten used to that weird blobby shape that they are. So maybe after I see my first octopus, or like that person suggested, I can look at pictures of octopi on the seafloor now, and then maybe that'll start to train my eyes. But I only have a few days left here, so I'll have to take that training over to Indonesia and perhaps the Philippines for my friend's wedding coming up, but I really want to go to Mongolia. Man, I just don't know. I gotta think about this because there's a lot of places I want to go when I'm back in Asia, and I don't have that long because I have to come back for a summer wedding in the U.S. again. I just gotta figure it out. Did I say I did get a wireless microphone? That was pretty cool. Walmart. I'm sorry, I shop there when I'm in the States. Very rarely. Not an excuse. That's where I got the underwater camera, and then they also had a USB-C wireless microphone, like a lavalier microphone, and I've always wanted to do interviews with the locals, but it's kind of difficult to do that, like, because I have a stationary microphone I plug into my computer, but now I have this $20 Walmart mic that worked pretty good when I tested it out the last time. So I'm going to have to, if I find someone over in Yogyakarta in Indonesia, I will be asking them about their country, because I've been wanting to do that in every country, all in Central South America, but I couldn't find a good lavalier mic locally, and I wasn't ordering anything online, really. I guess I could have been less lazy about that, but online shopping is not big in Central and South America. The way that people see the world, just being from a different country, is so interesting and so evident when I talk to people from around the world. The answers they give me for something that would be very normal in the US where I'm from, like, because we share that cultural pool of context, it's just absent from wherever I go, obviously, because it's a different country. So I'm constantly surprised when I talk to new people and they tell me things. It just feels like I'm always learning something. And I think it would be interesting if listeners to the podcast could hear that contrast between me talking and some locals talking. Maybe someone from Indonesia. If that happens, there'll probably be a main episode or Ramble On episode. I have to consider that also. I gotta get out of the US. It's making my mind slow down. So maybe when I'm in Indonesia, my brain will wake up again and I can figure all this stuff out. Baby turtle. I mentioned the baby turtle I saw last time, right? He's real zippy and going all around. Oh, that was really interesting. When I saw the seal in the water, I was like, well, the turtles probably aren't going to want to be there. But they had no problem. They just swam right along with and around the seal. So I'm thinking maybe the seal doesn't want to bite them because it's kind of a pain in the butt to bite through a turtle shell, especially when there's so many fish available that he can just snatch up. Yeah, originally I was pretty surprised that the turtles felt so safe around the monk seal. But I guess they are not monk seal prey, because there was a bunch of them just floating around, not hanging out near the monk seal, just incidentally nearby. They were going about their business, and neither the monk seal nor the turtle really paid much attention to the other one while they floated around. Because I think all the turtles were feeding also, snapping up whatever they eat in the ocean near the surface. It looks like they mostly eat stuff near the surface. I don't know what turtles eat. What do green sea turtles eat? Let me check. Algae, seagrasses, so mostly seagrass, seaweeds. Different types of little plants growing on the coral. They scrape it off with their jaws, apparently. Which, do they just like floating around? Because I see a lot of them swimming around, and they have to, maybe because they have to go up for air. Maybe that's why they're on the surface? So they can just chill out and breathe easily? Because when they go down, they have to eat for a while. But, yeah, I thought they were maybe some kind of filter feeder grazers, even though they don't have, baleen in their mouth or anything. It just seemed... They always seem to be poking their head around while near the surface, so I figured they were eating something. But looks like maybe they weren't, and they're just floating around, because the internet says that they mostly eat seaweeds, different types of seaweed. Or seagrass, I should say, because it grows from the seabed. Seaweed can be like floating and all on its own. It says the babies eat jellyfish, but once they become adults, they just eat mostly seagrass and algae if seagrass isn't available. That's interesting. Man, maybe I should pay more attention to the ones under the coral shelves. Maybe they're not hiding from the rough waves. Maybe they're munching on seagrass. That'd be pretty cool to see, and pretty impossible to photograph, but pretty cool to see. I met a beach bum, I think, from Tennessee, and I named him Tennessee Williams in my head, even though that's not his name, because I don't have much of an imagination, and Tennessee Williams is such a good name. So, we talked. He was kind of a hippie, and he said he was farming. That's what he was doing down in Oahu, but every time I've been to the beach, his car has been there, and he's usually just right on the beach hanging out, watching the ocean. All the best to Tennessee Williams. I hope he is enjoying his life on the beach, and that it goes on as long as he would like it to. Actually, he wasn't there this last time. It's the first time I haven't seen him at Lanikai, so maybe he has moved on, finally. That's all that's been going on. I've been avoiding the sun when it's murderous, having fun at the beach when the sun is less murderous, and preparing for getting off to Indonesia. Oh, actually, you know what? Speaking of preparation, I finally had another kerfuffle with Airbnb. Not with Airbnb, with my host. They confirmed it, and then after confirming my Airbnb, they said, by the way, you're also going to be charged extra for utilities when you get here. And that's not how it works. You look at the agreement. If it says in the description you have to pay for electricity extra, whatever, then yeah, you can work it out with the host. But I wouldn't choose a place. I don't like to think about that at all. I just want to pay one thing up front and then not think about it until I check out. And especially when I'm there for a month, I don't want to go refill the electricity every week and walk down and wait in line to pay. I've had to do that before, and it's just not worth it. It's not worth the trouble when there's so many other nice places that I could live that I just don't have to think about that. And I don't have to think about the Wi-Fi going out if I need it, or the AC. What if it's a super hot day and then the electricity randomly runs out? So, but the host was insistent that even though it wasn't in the listing or in the house rules, I still had to pay for the utilities. And I was like, nope. And he asked me to cancel, but it's non-refundable reservation. So I can't do that because then I would just lose all the money I paid. And I told him he could cancel, and he refused to cancel. So I had to contact Airbnb for the third time in like a decade. Pretty rare anything pops up. And now the last one happened just about 1 year ago, and then this one's happening. Still not that bad. But the great thing about Airbnb, every time I have to call them up or contact them for anything, I get a human within a minute. They confirm my identity, and then they solve the problem. And that pretty much happened this time, except this host was really insistent on the guest paying for utilities. But because he didn't, that's not part of the rental agreement that we both agreed to. I booked, he confirmed. Yeah, there was nothing he could do. He didn't have a leg to stand on. So Airbnb the first day explained to him that if you want guests to pay for their own utilities, you have to mention that in the listing beforehand. This listing and this reservation with me, you can either cancel that reservation or you have to provide the electricity, as is stated in the rental agreement that we have. And he told Airbnb yes, and then I asked him to and Airbnb was like, we solved it. He's going to pay for electricity and water your entire stay. And so I just checked with the host, hey, is that correct? And then he didn't answer me for a day, as I sent him a few messages. So I had to call Airbnb back, which that's the first time I've had to do that. It's usually resolved the first time. But I've only done this a few times, so. And this is happening as it happens with all the issues that I've ever had with Airbnb, first-time hosts. The first-time hosts, they usually want reviews, like good reviews, so they rent their places super cheap. So on top of the monthly discount, there's another discount. So this house that I'm renting went down from $1,100 to about $300. And I was like, yeah, I'll get that. Why not? That's about how much I pay for a house usually anyway. And it's a new place. I don't mind new place. I've stayed with tons of new hosts on Airbnb, and it's always been fine. It's always been a good experience. And I get the further increased discount. They usually just discount the monthly rate at super high. So I figured I'd book it. And then this first time, yeah, the host was like, okay, I'll pay for electricity to Airbnb. But then when I asked him, he said, yeah, we'll give you electricity, but if it runs out, you'll have to refill it. He just said the same thing. And I was like, nope, that's not the booking agreement we have in black and white. You agree to provide these utilities that run on electricity and water, then they have to be running for the duration of my stay, basically. And he said, definitely, they'll totally run and you just buy the utilities. I was like, no. So I contacted Airbnb again, and this time they went back and apparently made it very, very clear that for the duration of the stay, he has to provide the services. He has to provide what was in the booking agreement. And they said that he now understood that. And I talked to him, and he said he didn't, that I would still be paying for utilities. And I talked to him a few more messages, and he finally said, fine, if you run out of electricity, we will buy the electricity. So it'll be interesting, because I've never dealt with a hostile host, and this guy, I mean, this is not a crazy amount of money. It's probably going to be maybe $30 for the month. But I paid an all-inclusive fee, which is how Airbnb works, and me and this host, have an agreement. So I'm not going to just pay for utilities that weren't in the original booking agreement. If it was a refundable reservation also, I would have canceled because I just don't like dealing with any kind of trouble. I want to buy the house and then not talk to the host until I leave. When I say bye, thank you. But because this was non-refundable, the host would have had to cancel, and he did not want to. He wanted to keep this booking really bad. But I don't know how this is going to work now, because he was so difficult for 4 or 5 days, something, while this booking was going on. I can't review him great. I can't give him like 5 stars as the host, but maybe the house is really nice. And I like this. It's kind of a fun adventure for me, and I know that I did the right thing. Airbnb support is also very clear, like, yes, this is the booking agreement you both agreed to. So for the duration of your stay, you receive these things. That's how it works. So they told me, yes, you're correct. You booked it correctly. Like, there was no mistake made on your part. So since I'm secure that I haven't violated any Airbnb policies, and I can rely on Airbnb support to help me out, it's not really a bother, because it's mostly them dealing with the host. I just have to tell them, hey, the host is demanding I pay extra fees after I arrive that we haven't agreed on. And then Airbnb goes and mostly deals with it. So I was kind of surprised that I had to talk to the host again a couple times. But he said explicitly, yes, we will buy electricity if you run out now. So they'll replace it themselves. But I'm kind of curious if I get there and I need more electricity, if they'll be like, yeah, sure. And who knows how long it'll take to recharge the electricity. But that's the thing. The Airbnb, it's really interesting for guests and hosts, because it really is just an agreement between the two groups. It's not directly managed by Airbnb. They're sort of mediators between, and they provide rental agreements that the two parties, hosts and guests, can agree to. So rather than Airbnb being this overarching thing, they just provide the space in which hosts and guests can interact and sign short-term rental agreements. It's a very interesting setup. It was a good model, and because the company is so much smaller and don't interfere that much, I feel like that's part of the reason why I can reach Airbnb support so easily, and they are so effective at taking care of any Airbnb problem. They just address it directly, because that's where their resources go to. Making sure the community area is simple and effective. You put up a house, the guest can choose the house, they rent it, you both agree, pay, and it's done for the duration of your stay. Well, of course, you can't always extend the duration, but Indonesia is only 30 days for the visa on arrival. And because I want to get up to the rest of East Asia, I think I'm only going to stay for the 1 month in Indonesia. I haven't been in a Muslim country in a while, and I liked being in Malaysia and Morocco and hearing the chants, the Muslim chants in the morning go off. So that'll be interesting because I'm pretty sure I haven't checked anything. I'm pretty sure Indonesia is very heavily Muslim as well, so they'll probably have the morning and evening prayer bells like all the other Muslim countries. But next Ramble On, you will know because I will be in Indonesia figuring things out. I hear the food is very, very good. I don't know anything. I got to read up something about Indonesia. It's just dawning on me. I do this every time, though. I don't usually learn about a country until I land there. I didn't learn anything about Guatemala. I was surprised they had volcanoes. They have a ton. Didn't learn anything about Colombia. Turns out Medellin is super safe and has an amazing digital nomad visa. $900 a month proof of income, and you can get an indefinite digital nomad visa in Colombia. Like, that's by far the lowest digital nomad visa I know of, especially in such a desirable country. Like, that is an easy place to live with good food, nice people, and $900 a month. Any native English speaker can prove that immediately by teaching English. It would be so easy to prove that income just by teaching part-time on your laptop, like for a couple months. Oh yeah, but I didn't know about that before I went to Colombia. I knew about the Panama Canal, but I didn't realize Panama was such a metropolis, really. Or I didn't know that Panama was as big as it was, and I did not know that everything is basically in Panama City, and the rest of it is very small towns and cities and jungle. And I should have lived in one of those. I was in Panama for like 3 months, and I only lived in the city, and I don't even really like living in cities. What was I thinking? So I don't know much about Indonesia yet, but once I get there, I'll read a little bit about on the way, I'll study some words, and then once I get there, depending on how I feel about it, I will read a whole bunch of it. I have to be in a place before I really have an investment in it. I don't believe I'm there until I'm actually there. So it's difficult for me to prepare much beforehand. I'll just do the really basic hello, goodbye, thank you, please, I'm sorry words. I'll study those before I go. But everything else, once you land, there's nothing to worry about. Every single country has supermarkets, hospitals, transportation, like everything's there. Ride shares. You don't have to worry that they're not going to have sofas in Armenia or something. Like, every country has everything or every country I've been to has had everything I need. So there's very little that I worry about before getting to a new country. I book a new place a week before I go-ish, like I did this time, and then it's just waiting for me. And so far, that has worked every time for a decade. So we'll see how it goes this time. I'm optimistic, and I've had a very fun travel life so far, so pretty happy to keep going on a new adventure. I hope you go on an adventure too, if you want to. I hope you're having a great day. You can talk to me at bitofarambler@gmail.com. Bit of a Rambler, all one word. Or Bit of a Rambler on Lemmy, where I am always posting. There's green sea turtle pictures, the pictures of a bunch of the stuff I talked about. And then in other countries, in like Indonesia, there's a lot of cool street art, I bet. Oh, actually, maybe Indonesia's like Malaysia and there's no street art. I don't know. I'll find out. But I'll be posting a bunch of pics of Indonesia coming up very soon, in just a few days. So I hope your day is going great. My day's going pretty good. It's just hot. So have a great rest of your day. Talk to me if you want to. Go on the travel community on Lemmy. crazypeople.online/c/travel. All the best to you and yours. Get out here. Get on out. Get on out. Like a travel machine.